as our bodies age, things like digestive enzymes decrease, so
Right.
then people's ability to extract nutrients from what they eat decreases, and that itself can end up causing more and more problems.
Mm-hmm.
And how much processed food don't really have the nutrients that we think they have?
Absolutely.
Well, they don't have many nutrients, I'm sure,
Probably
if
some,
any.
none, right?
Yeah.
Sure, but it's been, the preservatives, the chemicals used, for sometimes even for food coloring and dyes, been shown with the ADHD, for example.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, manufacturers of processed food end up bringing in a lot of these things as ingredients, and then it's community activists and doctors and scientists that are trying to catch up and show how some of these kinds of
Right.
compounds
Public
are
awareness.
And
yeah.
that's an
Cause
interesting
problems in
word,
the body.
catch up.
Yeah.
We really are trying to catch
Right.
up. I know my wife has her own garden, and she cooks a lot of food fresh and goes out of her way to read labels and give our family the highest quality food possible, which is a great thing that she does for us. But it's a lot of work. And
Yes,
the
it is a
interesting
lot of
thing
work,
is
and I think
that,
a lot of people don't know to do that.
well, we also have such busy lives. So
Right.
we want to try and get those things
Yeah.
and figure out how do we fit this into our multi-schedule, right? With
Right.
kids
I mean,
and
I would think that's a difficult part, especially for moms, like you say, you deal with pediatrics. I mean, there are days that I know this isn't the best thing to feed my kids, but I don't really have time to cook something else. You know, there aren't a lot of healthy, quick options, really. I mean, do you give people tips on things like that about nutrition and how to, you know, easy ways to cook healthier for your family?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, nutrition is how we build our bodies.
Right.
Supplements are important too, because when trying to specifically go in and manage conditions, then sometimes we need elevated levels. So we were talking about cholesterol before. A good example is plant sterols. So certain plants, a sterol is like a cholesterol equivalent within our bodies, but it's within the plant. And when ingested at therapeutic doses, it can function to lower cholesterol in a few different ways. You wouldn't get enough just by eating the plants themselves, but when taken as a supplement, it can help fill the binding sites in the GI tract so that less cholesterol is absorbed, as well as promoting more bile excretion of cholesterol. So the person is eliminating more cholesterol from their own internal mechanisms.
Right, interesting.
That's very cool.
But just eating
Yeah.
the plants themselves, it wouldn't give you
Right.
that benefit.
Right.
So fish oil is another thing. And with fish oil, it can get tricky because the range of the doses is far and wide out there.
So your omegas,
Exactly. The fish oil is
Right.
the
Omega
omega-3
threes.
fatty acids,
Right.
which very important. In
flaxseed oils, stuff like that?
Flaxseed oils are important. The EPA and DHA, which is coming from the fish or the krill oils, very important as actually creating the cell membranes for our bodies. The cell membranes for all cells in our bodies are created by these essential fatty acids and cholesterol. Part of why those are such big players in many health conditions is because if you think of the membrane or envelope around a cell as being composed of these essential fatty acids, or by contrast, it could be the trans fats, then the functioning of those cells is very much affected by how that membrane, how well it works and how well it's made. An analogy I use is a parking lot. And with cars in a parking lot, you can park a 2009 Lamborghini or a rusted station wagon from the 1980s.
Right.
The trans fat is undesirable. The saturated fats, the trans fats, are undesirable because they're more that equivalent of the 1982 rusted station wagon, where your high-quality essential fatty acids and omega-3s are more the Lamborghini. And why does that matter? That matters because as the cell goes through its processes, things that you want to get outside of the cell may not be able to get outside.
Right.
And things that you want to bring in may not necessarily be able to come
Right.
in.
So basically, we really, if we think about this, we do have an opportunity to change. And I think we can trade in that rusted old station wagon, right, for that Lamborghini.
Can we
Is that
really?
right? We can change our bodies if we want to. Just like if we want to go to a health club and physically change, to a certain extent, but internally, inside, we can change by taking some of these supplements, coming to you, getting correct and proper advice, and following it. And that's the other thing. We need to not just do it for a
Right.
week, but we have to make this a commitment, a lifelong commitment that we're going to make some change to understand, and also understand exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it. I know that there are a lot of people out there who will take a green pill at 3 o'clock and a red pill at 4 o'clock, and they have no idea what they're taking.
Right. And just because it's easy. I mean, this is going to require a little bit more work and certainly more of a commitment.
It does, and of course I have patients across the entire spectrum. Some people are very active and able to undertake some of the lifestyle changes. Other ones not so much, but then we have to go in and maybe triage with supplements in a different way.
Right.
So I do in my clinic the first line therapy, which uses medical foods. Medical foods, that's a term regulated by the FDA.
So what are medical foods?
They're like supplemental
Vitamins,
powders.
Oh, okay.
So usually added with berries and into like a shake or a smoothie in the morning. But it's a way to get things like the plant sterols into the diet.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy it without necessarily having another pill. If
Right,
people,
so you're not taking a whole pile of vitamins. Some of them I've seen as large that a horse could take them.
Right, right.
Or not.
And it depends what we're treating too.
Right.
So with patients with severe arthritis where we're rebuilding the cartilage, then sometimes I'm afraid it might be a pile of smaller vitamins.
Okay, okay.
But
can you do you ever do like a family consultation? Like in other words, you might have one person, but we want to get the whole family together on a program. That sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. You can get the husband, the wife, and maybe even the kids if they will cooperate. But
it's so funny you mentioned that, because just last night I had a young man with celiac disease come in, and he had a family of 5 family members came in.
Right.
Okay.
And my office is small. It's like
just define celiac. That sounds familiar. Celiac disease.
Oh, celiac disease. So that's an immune response against the proteins in wheat.
Wheat gluten, right?
Is that autoimmune response?
It is in the autoimmune family.
Yeah, which is again another escalating scenarios, and a lot more people have these autoimmune diseases.
Right. I mentioned the thyroid conditions earlier as a contributor.
So they came in. Get ahead.
So they came in with I guess he was living in parents are divorced, and so he's spending time in multiple households, and so his mother, then the father's new wife, and then grandparents. It was the first time I've had that volume of people.
But they all really kind of need to be on board, especially with something like that, where it's affecting what you're cooking, because it's, you're cooking one thing for these kids and then something else for those kids. You really kind of have to, I would imagine, incorporate that into your entire family.
Exactly, because the condition itself is very much affected by dietary patterns.
Right.
And then it was having some acute issues. So the information was important to be disseminated too.
And that's great. That they all were interested and showed up.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
I didn't know they were all coming.
You're expecting 2 people. Whoa.
I like that concept, because usually we think we always just wait outside in the waiting room, we go see the doctor, and that's it. But I think it is important that more people, the husband, the spouse, the wife, the significant other, whatever, you have to cover all the spectrum nowadays.
Everybody has to be on board.
Everybody needs to be on board. And when you start working together as a group or as a team, as we teach in CPR, it becomes more effective.
Right.
I know that's one of the great things. I know that we're almost running out of time. I certainly can't thank you enough, and I would hope that you would be considered to come on as a guest again, and we could pick another topic.
This has been great, really
because,
informative.
You're very informative.
Thank you.
I also want to thank Jennifer Litt from the American Heart Association. She has a training center in the Connecticut area as well, not far from Newtown.
Yes, very close.
And we're all a nonprofit organization, and we're all trying to help the public. So we're disseminating valuable information that would never have gotten out there, and you were just a terrific guest today.
Thank you. Very interesting information. Thanks so much.
Really appreciate it.
Very nice to meet you.
So this is CPR Dave Cosmo, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful day.